Welcome back to 1 Million Pumpkins Ranch for more public displays of homesteading. I'm standing at the back end of the main garden, the yard garden, and I haven't shown you the progress on this garden in some time, and I thought I should update you. I just keep wanting to have, I'll show you when I finish this, or I'll show you when I finish that, and then there's always more to finish. So just jumping in to show you right now. These onions planted in March are finally secure. They really struggled. They really need to be weeded. This furrow is particularly grassy on this close edge right here. And that has already been, I pulled them out by the roots when they're next to the onions, and I chop and drop if it's on the side. So that's how this section of onion field is doing. And then also these pits have been reinvigorated and have tomatillos. So each pit has at least 2 tomatillos planted, and then this one has I want to say marigolds in the front. So that's what this row has. This one, the tomatillos that we planted out died, so I reseeded that, waiting for them to pop up along with the flowers. This one has a good one, couple growing in it, and I added more seeds on the end and flower seeds as well. So that has added some property to this back end. Glad to show you that the elecampane survived the winter and the birds pecking it, but the birds pecked some herbs that I planted in the foreground, so I'm going to reseed those today. This little elm tree survived the winter from its base. Happy to see that. And in the foreground, the feverfew tried to, but the bird pressure destroyed it. And so I planted some flower seeds, or maybe was it lettuce? And here I had planted sunflowers. The birds got them, so I planted cushaw squash. More flowers. Here, oregano and Thai basil, tomatillo, and Thai basil. These are native globe mallows that I allow to live here because they're so pretty. And this is blooming brain fart. It's a blooming alfalfa. And this row continues down with the sunflowers. Where it's green, there's sunflowers and grass. And where it's just brown mulch, the birds got the sunflowers. So I will be plugging in new seeds today. In these 3 holes, the pomegranate trees did not survive the winter, and so they too have tomatillos either planted or seed. Right, so each of these, tomatillos and lettuce. And then here is Matt's corn waffle garden. He started these corns in seed blocks and planted them out on Sunday. Most of these rows only have cover crop grasses, but that's going to change. I intend to have every furrow planted by the end of the month, so I have a few days. This side, of course, as you can see, does have things planted. Here are some of our pepper starts that are not looking too hot. Those are the ones that got planted out, and they did not like the high 30s, low 40s weather. Here's a mixed row of seeds. We've got watermelon on the end, and then there's flowers interspersed with other squashes and ending in cucumbers seeded at the end. This is my medicinal herb row. Some survived the cold weather, others bit the dust. I'm going to go ahead and direct sow to fill the holes. And then here are Amish paste and Cherokee purples. Only 4 survived those high 30s, low 40s. And it's a little choked with grass. But aren't those wildflowers pretty in the garden? The garlic is doing great. It's got scapes. I'm going to have to collect all those scapes tonight, make something out of them. And then I did reseed and I put the tiniest of the onions in here. So there's one of the tiny onions. That was an early sown radish. And then these are new brassicas. And I did not label, I just threw seeds down. They're probably radishes. I don't recollect. We will find out when I harvest them, won't we? Yeah, so you harvest the garlic when it dies back, and here's the remaining leek from last year, and it's got scapes on it. I'm gonna let that go to seed for next year. And then here I also reseeded, and oh yeah, so there's something from the amaranth family in there. Once again, I did not label these. Some brassicas, probably radishes, but I think I put Savoy cabbage as well. The cilantro and flat parsley are doing well from being seeded back in March. This row right here is volunteers, all volunteers. So we've got fennel coming back from the winter, and desert marigold, some grasses, a globe mallow, some wildflowers, and 3 shelling peas. So here are the starts I'll be popping in the ground today. These are those ones that got sown in March, and then here are the replacement tomatoes for the ones I killed. Here's the elephant in the room, you guys. I've been waiting for a decade to have a cattle panel trellis, and now I have a 3-panel tunnel. These red raspberries have been waiting a month to go onto the trellis. I like how spiffy it looks, more architectural, and I like how it's going to block the prevailing wind. Here's the other onion patch, and it is dominated by alfalfa. That just likes to come back every year, and then I've cut it already more than once for the animals, and it just keeps coming back. And I weed and chop and drop frequently, and it's growing like gangbusters here. More wildflowers and alfalfa in bloom. Over here I had placed some brassicas that they didn't like the cold weather. I thought that was not the case, but it looks like there's an arugula. I'm not sure what that is right there. And then these lettuces are doing fantastic. Really happy with how well lettuce grows here. And there are volunteer lettuces coming up from last year, here and there, all in this area. And then kale. I did weed and chop and drop this area, and it's completely tall again. The kale, though, look at that. There's a borage, and then I believe next to it is a sorrel. Check out this sage. Glorious. We've got some native grasses as well. So looking down the front row, we've got, as I said, the sage, and then here's a perennialized onion about to bloom. I planted some nursery start celery. They didn't like the hot weather, but they're coming back. And a nursery start of a lavender. There were 3 types of peppers from the nursery, the hot pepper, scorpion, all melted. Here's a thyme. Now that perennialized in the other garden, I'm hoping it will here once it gets its legs. A dead pepper. There's a good pepper and another good pepper. Those are Anaheim varieties. Rosemary, I'm going to see if the prostrate does better than the upright. A red bell melted, but it's coming back from its stem. 2 more red bells, and one is in bloom from the nursery. And then comes the one artichoke I propagated. I collected the seeds, and this one started. And I need to rework this corner now that this is kind of a corner exit. So the 2 beds used to come to a point here, so now that's going to be a walkway at the tip. But I did go ahead and put tomatillo and herb starts here, which did not do that well. Oh, it looks like that one's coming back, that tomatillo. And then the sweet basil, 1 and 2, those look good. That tomatillo looks like a stick. Here is oregano, I believe, looking good. Thai basil. This tomatillo is clinging to existence, and that's either a mint or an oregano, but it's alive. And then here we've got some good news and some bad news. First of all, emptiness. Not too many volunteers came back from the sunflower thickness, but a few did down here. So there's 1, 2, and then some kind of curly leaf crap going on with that one. And look at the Jerusalem artichokes. They returned in full glory. The next row, which also contains solid sunflowers, only has a couple volunteers. It does have some foxtail grass, which needs to be eradicated. And it looks like volunteer plantain, maybe? Is that plantain? Does anyone know? And this is what I called the chevron garden because we had the horse corral blocking. And so this chevron is going to be seeded with okra and peanuts. Won't that be wild? This leg of onions, once again, needs to be weeded and chopped and dropped. These are foxtail grasses that will destroy your animal's mouth or get stuck in tender parts of their body. And then here is a nice elm tree, little understory of grasses and wildflowers. Only 2 or 3 volunteers from the sunflowers. This corner, nothing came back. Don't know what I'll plug in there. Time will tell. And so that is the garden. Thanks so much for joining me on this end of May garden tour in the high desert of northeast Arizona. Won't you consider mulching that like button? Cheers and blessings.